Hey everyone, I'm Stacey Epstein, and this is AI've Got Questions. Last season, I had such a great time talking to founders of marketing-focused AI technology companies, but this season we're doing things a little bit differently. I'm sitting down with some of the most highly respected CMOs and learning about how they are leveraging AI in their organizations so that you can learn it too. Let's hear who's next. Before we get started, a quick note. The company you'll hear us talking about today recently changed its name. It was known as Kandji and is now called Iru. Same great team, new name, and an even bigger vision. So when you hear us mention Kandji, we're talking about Iru. Let's go. Welcome to the show today. I am thrilled to have Sylvia LePoidevin, the CMO of Kandji, join us. We met several years ago when you were very early in your journey at Kandji, and I heard about Kandji, and actually I was an early investor, which I'm very proud of and excited about. But you have done so many amazing things over the last several years at Kandji and really some cool stuff now that AI is here, and I can't wait to get into it. But first, why don't you tell us about you? Tell us about your journey. How did you get to where you are now?
I'm so excited, and thank you, Stacey, for having me. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I have a very unconventional story, so I'll touch on it a little bit because I think it is relevant to who I am today and what I'm building. But I actually grew up in Africa in the middle of nowhere, like remote Africa, my entire childhood. I moved to the US when I was 17 for college, and that was my first introduction to living here. And then fell into tech very early on. When I was 22, I got recruited to join a startup as employee number 12. They were literally working out of a house at the time and absolutely fell in love with it. Just the journey of building something from nothing is so fulfilling and exciting. And just the energy and the pace of tech. And I think that's only picked up since AI has entered the scene, of
Definitely.
course, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about. But yeah, fell into tech. My journey has really been a lot of those like 0 to 1 stories. So starting as a first marketer, building 0 to 1.
Yep.
And that was my journey at Kandji. So I joined just over 6 years ago, employee number 4. And we're now at nearly 300 employees, 850 million valuation. So it's been just an incredible ride and so many new things on the horizon too that I'm really excited about, and lots of fun AI projects as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think you have been a a very important part of the success of Kandji. I know most of our listeners are marketers, and we all know the value of marketing, but I think when marketing is done well and done right, it can really help fuel a company's birth. Tell us quickly about Kandji and what Kandji does, and then let's get back to talking about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with Apple devices. So any company that uses Apple devices, so it could be they give you a MacBook as an employee, for an example. And so we do a lot of just various management and security around Apple. So it's generally selling to the IT or security teams at a company that's using those devices. So a lot of our customers could be tech companies that give all their employees MacBooks, but it could also be retail, iPads. The use cases are much broader than you might think, but it's exciting to be part of something that's growing. It's only becoming more common to use Apple at work than it was in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't use anything besides Apple. In fact, people send me
Same.
in my line of work, I get Word documents and PowerPoint files, and I'm just like, people, I can't open this.
Yep.
Can we get
Same.
a little more modern? Do not attach a file and send it to me. Anyway, so I'm a big fan. And as I said, an investor. So I'm excited to see the growth. But let's talk about AI. So AI has been around for a while. Obviously, Gen AI hit the scene a couple years ago and took us all by surprise. I think you know the whole first season of my podcast was around AI technology for marketing. And I kept getting CMOs asking me, okay, it's great, but I still want advice. How do I run my team? How do I incorporate AI into everything we do? There's a lot of pressure on CMOs to adopt AI, but not a lot of roadmap on how to do it. What have you done? What did you see? What was your reaction when ChatGPT came out? What were some of the early steps that you made?
Yeah, the very first thing I did, this was probably 8 months ago now or something. We did an AI hackathon on the team. And this was one of our very first accelerating moments of being an AI first team. And it was incredibly unstructured. We literally just showed up in a conference room. We had 4 hours blocked, and we were like, all right, we're just going to try to build something that can automate our content distribution process. So kind of like repurposing content. I think this is one of the most lowest hanging fruit
Yeah,
cases for AI.
for sure.
And I think it can be well done and can also be poorly done. I have lots of thoughts on that. But this hackathon, we essentially ended up creating a custom GPT, and we ended up splitting the group up into different groups. So one was creating the knowledge base. And I think these are all like very foundational components for anything you build with AI. One was focused on the knowledge base. So like, how are we going to give AI the context to be able to write really well and have the right information? The other group was focused on the format. So, what does good look like? What's quality? What sounds right? What words do we use? How do we train the tone and the format of what we're writing to really work for us and feel human and feel like us? And then the last group was operations. So, it was all about just connecting the dots between systems and making sure that we had a good process for using this thing that we built on a day to day basis in the future. And I think those are all really important components, especially the knowledge base and the taste and formatting, because you can't just like go to AI and expect it to be awesome, because you're always going to get the average of the internet. And I've heard it said that like prompt engineering should be renamed context engineering, because the context is what actually lets it be really useful for you. And if you
100%.
don't have that, you're going to get something really mediocre,
Yeah.
and you're going to end up at baseline. Like everyone's doing more content with AI, for example. And so if you're just doing more, churning more out that's just average and mediocre, I think it's just going to become entirely unimportant. And so I think creating those types of systems to allow it to have a rich knowledge base and sound like it's supposed to, I think that's going to make or break whether that AI effort actually helps you or not.
So when you decided to do this hackathon, did you know at the outset that you were going to focus on content, or did you decide that when you got to the hackathon? You knew in
We
advance.
did know
Okay.
that, yeah.
Because that, yeah. I
Because we
mean,
felt like that was a low-hanging
totally.
fruit sort of opportunity
Yeah.
for us. So we walked into the room, we're like, "All right, we're gonna create this system, and our goal at the end of these 4 hours is to walk out of the room and have a working system that we can use."
Yeah, like a
And we did.
content machine, basically.
Yeah.
And so did you then change roles of people? Do you have a content team now that has those 3 different titles and that's what they do? Nice.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Somewhat, yes. We have people on the team, and I noticed folks sort of falling into one of two groups. One group is what I call the tastemakers, which that could be the knowledge base or the formatting or like what does good look like. They're generally really creative folks. They love storytelling. Maybe they have a film background or a journalism background or something like that. And the other group are the operators. So they're the ones that are just love to build systems and
Mhm.
be like, okay, I see an opportunity to really automate this in the future. And so on the team, we've kind of been pairing those folks together, because if you pair the tastemaker with the operator, you can end up with something really amazing. But both groups tend to not be as excited about doing the opposite thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can find folks that love doing both, but generally, I see the team kind of falling into one of those two groups. So we haven't changed titles. We don't have someone with the go to market engineer title at
Yeah.
the moment or
Yeah.
anything like that. But the roles do change, even if the job title stays the same.
Yeah, very interesting. And so this was a little while back. So what result have you had? Have you churned out multiple times more content? Is it better content? What have you
Yeah,
seen?
so much. So I find it's enabled us to launch a lot of new content streams
Mhm.
that are actually very human, because we're using the AI for that sort of repurposing distribution part. And I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people try to build these systems. Like I talked to a CMO recently that was like, we went from 3 blog posts a week, a month to 5. And I was like, why? Who cares?
Yeah, totally.
and so, and so the way we've done it is being able to spin up additional streams.
Mhm.
And we use this framework of anchors and distribution. So the anchors are these big content source streams. And so an example is our podcast, which is called Patch Me If You Can. So we're interviewing people. Like we're creating this platform for people in our community to share their knowledge. And that's a human to human conversation. And then we can then take that conversation, and that powers our entire content flywheel. It powers social clips. It powers even topics that are maybe touched on in that conversation, but maybe wasn't the whole conversation. We can still pull that out and create more content around that. So we use it for topic extraction as well as repurposing of that conversation into different formats. And so I think the important part is that the anchor needs to be human, and then the distribution AI can really help with, but the anchor should not be AI driven, in my opinion,
Yeah,
because I think it's gonna lack that, like, spark and the story and the lived experience that just, like, AI can't
Yeah, I mean, I love this notion of the anchor because I do think you can start with one thing that's very compelling and interesting. And I remember we used to like have like a big written, report, and the report you would be trying to chunk out things. And with AI, the original content can be really interesting and human and real, but you can be creating so many things coming out of it that are interesting to different people. Some people want little short form content. Some people want to
Yeah.
read a big long document. Some people want to just listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the ways that AI has been really interesting is that it really helps you multi-purpose. I mean, even my own podcast, I feel like I don't do enough to chunk out pieces from it and then distribute those to people that maybe don't listen to podcasts once a week. And I know it'd be easy. I probably have to press a couple buttons, but certainly
It's
with a
hard.
company,
These
there's a lot
conversations.
more opportunities to do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done other things too. So we've launched a whole original research content stream. So we do surveys of our readership that follows our media site. That's also a
Yeah,
recent
I
thing
do want to talk
that we
about that.
launched. So we have a media site called The Sequence. And this we created actually because we had so many different content streams we were spinning up, but we needed a home for all of them. And we didn't want that home to be like the Kandji blog because we wanted it to feel like its own like journalism publication
Mhm.
and feel very human as well. Like the things we publish on The Sequence are, it could be that podcast conversation with people, or it could be an article that's written by someone on our team from an interview we have with them about their own lived experience, or it could be these research studies that we do. That's another stream we've created. We also do little short videos of essentially like some of the wow moments in the product. And so we have all these various content streams that now sort of come to life on there. And I think having that AI automation repurposing allows us to be able to create all those streams, again, focusing on trying to make them as source human as possible. But it's definitely allowed us to do a lot more than we could have done.
Yeah, I love it. And does it live outside of your URL? Does it have a separate URL?
It does.
Then the Gen AI engines are using it as an authority to drive inbound. Yes.
Exactly. And
Yes.
it was crazy. We noticed that a month or two after we launched it. And I was kind of shocked because I was like, well, this is a brand new URL. It can't have that high of an authority. But for some reason, I think people are asking these AI tools questions and they're going to try to find the answers. And they can find some answers on our site, but then that's our site. They need to try to like validate it with some third party resource. And because it's on its own domain,
Yep.
it's like treated as an external source. So it's almost like this weird hack that we stumbled on
Yep.
because that wasn't actually why we created it. We created it because we don't want it to be the Kanji blog, but it ended up being this incredible, like highly sourced, fuel of information for when folks are searching for us. We've done some research. It's very early. We've done some research on how often folks are finding us through LLMs, and it was much higher than I expected it to be. And so it's certainly something worth investing in. I know it's a very hot topic among marketing folks, and everyone's trying to figure out how to do it. Marketing, we're always trying to game the system to some
Mhm.
extent, figure out how to show up, put our best foot forward on these emerging platforms. It's definitely a high impact channel.
Yeah, I do think that hack to have your content all on a separate URL is an important one. And I think it's going to be hard for the engines to figure that out in the short term. Eventually they will. It's like Google
Yeah.
paid search. We're always trying to keep up with how that algorithm was changing. We were doing a separate content site for ServiceMax like 15, 20 years ago because there were no places for field service people to go look for content. And so we had this whole digital site with content, and it ended up being a really great source of inbound for us. But I think it's even
Yeah.
more so now because authority is the name of the game. What
Yeah.
other interesting ways are you using AI to drive inbound and pipeline?
Yeah, another cool thing that we did recently, and this is still very, very early on, but we did this marketing Shark Tank day which was like the best thing ever. It was all around just bringing the boldest ideas to the table. But we made it a requirement that all the ideas had to include some sort of transformational use of AI. So
Nice.
the whole event, it was an internal event, but it was basically, a chance for the team to be able to come up with like their wildest, boldest ideas and then pitch them to this panel of sharks that were all representative of our buyer personas. And so we had internal folks at our company, like our internal IT and security resources, and they were in character of the buyer persona.
Nice.
And I think that was an important part of it because with this AI hype, a lot of people have completely forgotten about the customer. And they're just
Mhm.
like, we got to do some AI stuff. Let's publish 5 blogs instead of 3 every month. And no one's using it as a way to meet the buyer better. I've been asking people, what have you or what has anyone launched recently that's actually improving that buyer experience or making something amazing for them? And I think that's getting missed a lot. I think that's what a lot of people are doing wrong is they're just trying to jump on the bandwagon without thinking about the customer. And so that was really important to me with this Shark Tank event to have who cares what I think or what the executives
Totally.
think.
Y
What matters is what's going to land with the buyer. So a lot of the ideas that came out of that, we haven't started building because it's still really recent, but it was definitely a big AI transformation forward moment for us. But there were some really cool ideas in there, like creating a digital twin of our SE team, which is our like very, very knowledgeable internal resources. And they're also limited resource. And
Mhm.
so being able to create some way for people to interact with that knowledge base, but in a way that can get them an answer right away instead of having to wait to get on a call with an SE. And then there was a lot of other cool ideas like other interactive online experiences. There was a lot of things that incorporated humor and video and lots of delightful moments for
That's
customers. But I
awesome.
think there's some really cool ones in there that all really meet the buyer where they are and aren't just doing AI for AI's sake.
Well, I have 2 ideas for you on that digital twin idea. 2 of the
Please.
guests on my show, one was One Mind, Amanda Kahlo, who has an actual, like, AI persona that you can put that is like having a live interaction against your knowledge base, and the other is Ovation, which is video. Like, you can load up all of your demo videos, and then somebody can have a conversation asking where to go in the video. So there's 2 ideas for
That's
your SEs.
awesome.
But also, I love both of your examples came out of internal events, your hackathon and then your Shark Tank, which I love. I read your post about it on LinkedIn, so I loved seeing that, which I think obviously is really great for culture and probably really makes it a great place for people to be on your team and to want to be on your team, which should always be our goals as leaders. But also, I think CMOs are so daunted by, as we talked about earlier, about, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for infusing AI into this team and I don't have a roadmap and I don't know exactly how to do it. And I think the approach of it's not only on your shoulders as a CMO, bring your team together, get ideas, source them from your team. We can flatten our organizations and say anybody can bring a great idea for how to use AI and we'll look at them all and we'll pick the best ones and we'll go forward. And it has that dual benefit of alleviating the pressure on the CMO to come up with everything and to completely transform the organization all on their own. And it also makes everybody feel involved and like they are able to make an impact. So I love that both of your examples started with, hey, bring the team together and let's do some fun stuff. I'm sure it was such an awesome day when you did the Shark Tank Day. Yeah.
It was so awesome. We
Sure.
had cash
So
prizes,
fun.
music. It
So fun.
was way too much hilarious AI generated imagery. It was
I
amazing.
love it. So great. Really good. I mean, we used to manufacture things like that. Like I remember we had in the early days of ServiceMax, or maybe it was Success Factors. Once we hit $100 million in pipeline, everyone on the go-to-market team had that goal. And we had a party and we hid $100 bills all over the office. That was like a fun party because we hit the goal. But I think the bringing everybody in and giving them a chance to come up with a new idea, like the ideas are sort of limitless. And we're at a time where we can do this. I think before product marketing was product marketing and demand gen coming up with a campaign. And maybe you could ask people to come in and come up with campaign ideas, but we have a real opportunity to involve our whole teams in how to transform with AI. And I hope that's something that doesn't go away, that we can continue to take all those amazing ideas, even from the front lines, and really build the transformation in our orgs.
Yeah, I completely agree. We haven't done this much at Kandji really, but I've seen this at other companies, people that I've talked to. When you try to top down force the AI transformation, I think it just scares a lot of people. And I think one of the biggest problems right now, like if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to remove all the fear. Because I think if you can do that, there's this amazing, limitless thinking that can give you the best ideas and can really get people fired up about something that they're passionate about building. But I think when you try to force it too much, then it creates a lot of that fear. And then that's not the state of mind where the best ideas come from. And when we did both these events, like everyone putting their heads together, everyone knows bits and pieces of AI really well, and giving them a chance to learn from each other and to me learn from them is amazing because everyone's got a little bit of knowledge. And then if you put it all together, you can actually do really well. It's been amazing just the ideas that have come to the surface that I would have never thought
Yeah.
of. And the folks that are the closest to the work,
Yep.
as long as you empower them with some ability to learn the AI stuff from each other, I think you can get really far. We're all amateurs, right? None of us are trained in this. No one
No
is.
one is.
So you just need to create a space where there's some excitement and ideas around it, and then where people can learn from each other. And you'd be surprised how much AI knowledge is already on your team
Yeah.
if you just give them the space to show it.
Amazing. Well, I really enjoyed catching up with you today. It's been a few years, but it's awesome to reconnect. And let's check in again. If you have new fun ideas that are working, I'd love to have you back on the show again. And for anybody listening, if your company uses Apple devices, you should probably send your IT team over to Kandji or to the content site. What was the content site called?
The sequence.
The Sequence. Very nice name. And thanks again for coming on the show. It was great to have you.
Great to be here. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.